Welcome to More Than a Paycheck, the podcast for high achievers who feel trapped in their job but know something has to change. If your bad manager and toxic work environment have you stressed and working crazy hours, and you want an easier solution than finding a new job, you're in the right place. Let's do this. Hey y'all, hope things are going well for you this holiday season, that you're taking some time off. If you're one of my clients, heads up, listen up. I've been working on a new course I'm going to give to all of you. I'll include it with all the other coursework that you already have. The courses you have access to right now are Killer Confidence, Dealing with Difficult People, Hard Conversations, Getting Promoted, and some foundational work. I'm working on a course I'm going to add to the collection that you'll get access to around how do you kind of brand yourself? How do you tell your story? How do you really elevate yourself to understand what is your leadership style? Who are you? And how do you articulate the things you're good at without it sounding weird and braggy? But how do you also get really clear on that so that you like you and you're being more of you and you're not trying to mold to the leaders and people around you? It's going to be so good. I cannot wait to share it with you. I'm having so much fun creating it and doing tons of research and reading and learning some awesome things. So get excited. Okay, today is our third and final part on year-end review. If you haven't gone and listened to the other episodes, go listen to them. Start there. We have talked in the previous two episodes about feedback that people have about you, the feedback you have about other people, and some ways to actually make that whole process helpful and not painful and a waste of time. Today, we're going to talk about your feedback about yourself. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably put this off to the end, even though I think it's the most important part. In my experience at Amazon, your manager would kind of take the feedback you had of yourself and respond to it accordingly and use peer feedback as support to also give some additional context and other ways that you're doing well and ways you can grow. I'd also been at Amazon long enough. We changed the process multiple times from we used to have to write like a 6-page document with a lot of data to back it up to our review was like a tweetable few short sentences. I kind of think the balance sits somewhere in between, but what do I know? So I'm sure your company has a certain process for how they want to do this, but I want to talk about how do you showcase your success and your work without sounding arrogant and to make sure you're giving yourself enough credit. And I also want to talk about how do you give feedback about yourself for the year when it hasn't been a great year. Maybe you've missed goals. It just hasn't been a good year for multiple reasons. So let's start first with how do you kind of showcase the work that you're doing without sounding arrogant, but giving yourself appropriate amount of credit. Here's kind of my process I use, and I want to talk to you about the mental model I would highly encourage you to use no matter what process you go through. So when I'm doing this, the first thing I like to do is I just write down, like, what am I proud that I accomplished? And it may not even be things I'm going to share in my final review with my manager, but like, what did I do that I'm pretty proud of myself? How am I proud of myself for how I showed up? Not just what did I accomplish, but who was I through the whole process? Sometimes I'll go back through documents like MBRs or status updates or tickets or JIRAs to kind of refresh my mind because 12 months is a long time. I truthfully have a hard time remembering what I was delivering in the first 2 quarters of the year. So I'll go back to some of those existing documents just to remind myself. Okay, side note here, do yourself a solid next year. If your company has the practice of doing a monthly business review, an MBR, take 10 minutes when you're working on your MBR for the work you're doing and do just like a mini one for yourself. Just keep it in a Word document, notes app. It doesn't need to be fancy and official. You don't need to make it pretty. Just write down for that month, what were some of the key things you delivered? Definitely write down any metrics that you have to show the impact of that, because that's going to help make the process at the end of the year so much easier. Keep it casual. Don't spend more than 10 minutes. But I'm telling you, doing this monthly is going to make the year-end process so much easier. Okay, so go write down all the things you're proud you accomplished, things you did. Go back through your past documents to look for it. And I want you to keep in mind as you're getting ready to draft your feedback on yourself to your manager, I want you to spend more words, more time, more space on the page explaining why it matters instead of how you did it. Because here's the truth. No one really cares what you did. I mean, they do, but they don't. For the love, do not write your review going into the details of how you did the work. That is not what a good review cycle is about, and not what a good leader is going to talk to you about. There's 500 million ways to get to the goals we're trying to reach. I believe the best way is the way that works best for you. There is not one gold standard on how to get someplace. Unless you are in like some sort of field where there's potentially medical implications or these sort of things, that's different. But in a business setting, if it works for you, great. Okay, so here's my mental model. No matter what process you use, I'd offer you to think through when you're writing feedback about yourself. I call it the 2 Qs. Ultimately, in your review, we don't just want to tell what we did. We want to emphasize why was it hard, important, or a big deal. So I think of this as the 2 Qs. This is the mental model I use. I'm always wanting to quantify it with metrics as much as possible and qualify it. Why is it a big deal? Why am I bringing this to your attention? Why is this a highlight? Why is this a win? Okay. Let me give you a couple examples of what this might look like. Let's say that one of the big things you're proud of that you did this year was you delivered kind of a V2 of a core feature for the product you work on. Now you're going to be tempted to tell me all the steps you took and all the teams you had to work with. I had to go to legal and then to this partner team and this partner team. Don't tell me how. That's not what's going to impress me. Okay. Quantify it and qualify it. The qualifying part is where you're going to tell me why it's a big deal without having to walk me through every single step of the process you took to get there. So quantify it and tell me about the impact. So if this was you and you delivered V2 of a core feature, maybe you aligned 5 different teams and got on all of their roadmaps to deliver on budget and on time. Okay, so you're quantifying. You're not just telling me, I went to legal and then this partner team and this partner team. You're like, no, I aligned it across 5 teams, got on their roadmap, delivered on budget, tell me what the budget was, and on time. Great, okay? You're giving me data and facts and statistics to back up why what you did was a win. Maybe you also, through this process, identified some issues. Okay, let's quantify it. So you led the team to resolve 3 bugs that would have blocked the feature, and you created a system to prevent it from happening in the future, saving the company an estimated X hours of work or X money, right? You're not telling me all the things you did. You're telling me what you did, and you're quantifying it to help me as your manager understand the impact that it had. You want to make sure you're qualifying it as well. One of the ways it's helpful to qualify something, again, we're wanting to tell, why is this a big deal? So maybe you delivered V2 of a core feature. At Amazon, there's a big push to launch a lot of things in AWS before reInvent, their big yearly conference where they showcased some cool new things that are coming up. Maybe this core feature was one of those things that needed to be launched by reInvent. So you want to quantify it. Yes, you hit it on time and on budget. Cool. Qualify it by saying, if we had missed our launch date and these bugs weren't resolved, it would have cost the company an estimated X in revenue, since we wouldn't have been able to launch at reInvent, right? You're just reminding the reader, why is it a big deal? Why is it important? Not just that it was hard and you did this cool thing, but why is it important? Why is it a big deal? Let's look at another example. Let's say one of the big things you accomplished this year was hiring a team and created a 3-year plan, a 3YP. Don't just tell me how you created job descriptions and interviewed and onboarded and trained and blah, 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 blah. No, quantify it. You hired a team of 6 from over 10,000 applicants with an average of a 3-month onboarding until the person was fully ramped and delivering. Qualify it. You delivered your first year goals on track so that you're able to hit your 3YP in 2 years because of how you built it. You were able to utilize existing technology, saving the company so much money. You estimated X amount of savings and X more revenue. Maybe you also found signals of cost-saving options in the future that you're going to work on. Maybe your delivery unblocked 5 additional teams to move forward with their roadmap, having a company-wide impact. Now, you'll see the qualify part sometimes is going to include metrics as well. Anywhere you can include metrics, definitely add it. The quantify part is about telling the reader why the impact of the work you did and the impact it had on the company. The qualify is why it's a big deal. So the impact sometimes is the big deal, but you want to remind them and you want to qualify it as much as possible around if this hadn't have happened, here's what maybe would have happened instead. Let's look at another example. Maybe the team you're on supports escalations and driving communication out, and you supported 20 escalations this year. Okay, don't tell me how. Quantify it. We supported 20 escalations, which is down X% year over year because of the root cause issues we've identified and partnered with other teams to resolve. Maybe you're going to quantify it by telling me it took an average of X minutes to get the first communication out, reducing time to resolution from X to Y year over year. Maybe as part of this is you created approved templates that are now standard across the company. Great. Tell me that. Quantify it. Maybe the new approved templates make it so that the process no longer requires VP engagement for certain types of escalations. Awesome. That's a big deal. Tell me that as the reader. Maybe you're going to quantify it and remind people this is a big deal of not only did we reduce time to get the communication out, but this is important because all the stakeholders approved on these templates. So we no longer go back and forth during the escalation on the communication. We're just hyper-focused on the root cause problem. And so now those stakeholders are able to identify and solve the root cause problem even faster as well because they're not worried about the communication side. Maybe you want to qualify this because these templates now enabled you to give global support because they're pre-translated and you've trained backups around the country so you don't need to hire additional people. Qualify it by telling me each minute of downtime for an employee at your company is estimated to cost the company Y. So by reducing time to communication, X amount, you've actually saved the company a projected X millions of dollars. And maybe you're even going to qualify it by saying, now that we've resolved this and gained these wins, next year we're focused on creating modular templates for communication so we can customize them as needed even quicker. We're not just telling like the steps and processes you took. You're helping me understand why was it hard? Why is it important? Why was it a big deal? And what data do you have to back that up? Okay, so let's talk for a minute. What do you do when you've missed a goal and it really just hasn't been your best year? Because this is going to happen as well. Quick interruption. If what you learn on this podcast is helpful, this is just the beginning. Your next step is to go and schedule a coffee chat, and we're going to dive into your specific situation. You'll leave knowing a few things you can try right away to get unstuck. And no, this is not a sales call. My goal is to help however I can. If I think coaching can help, I will tell you about it, but I'm currently on a wait list for new clients. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat and get on my calendar. I only offer a few of these a week and it's first come, first serve. All right, back to the podcast. Here's what I'd offer you to think about. Be honest. Don't try to sugarcoat it, but don't play the victim card. What you want to do is you want to focus on how you showed up and who you were through it all. And you want to keep in mind those two cues, quantify and qualify it. Let's look at the example of maybe your product didn't launch. Where I've seen a lot of people go and where my brain would want to go is, don't tell me how you had a plan, but all these things outside of you made it really hard and it was deprioritized from the top down. So there's nothing you could do. That may be the case. I'm not saying we don't call that out, but don't call it out as an excuse as to why we didn't hit the goal. Quantify it. Might look like, once this project was deprioritized, I pivoted and presented 5 possible solutions and a recommendation that optimized the time available to deliver on the core part. How did you show up when things were not going according to plan? That's really important. Maybe you want to qualify it by saying this core part was required to deliver on this year to unlock the team to enable us to move quickly with less technical challenges next year. And that's what we were able to do. So no, we didn't hit this KPI, but we hit this core part. And this is why it's so important that we did. And you helped the team understand that and prioritize. That's what they want to know. Yeah, things get defunded and deprioritized from the top down, totally. But how do you show up when they do? That's what's important. Let's look at another example. Maybe you were working towards a goal and you or your team like missed the KPIs like big time. I'm not talking about like missed it barely, but like you big time missed it. Okay, you're going to want to give excuses and talk about the things outside of you that changed and made it impossible to reach the goals, right? There was a layoff. The project was defunded. There's changes in economic factors. Again, those things could be true, but we're not trying to have a review where we're just giving excuses as to why we didn't hit this goal. All those things being true, what did you do? What impact did it have? Quantify it and qualify it. Maybe you identified 20 possible solutions and you aligned 8 groups on 10 of those things you were going to go deliver, and you delivered on each one on plan, on time. And you learned these 6 crucial insights that are now going to change the approach and delivery of this goal overall. Qualify it. This is significant because now we've set ourselves up for success next year to give us more accurate insight into the upside and ways to drive innovation across the industry. Because if we hadn't missed these goals, if this thing outside of us hadn't happened and we didn't have to get scrappy, we maybe wouldn't have had these 6 crucial learnings and insights. Maybe there's even another product or another idea or another working group that has spun off because of these insights that you had. Do you see how we're acknowledging we missed the KPI, we missed the goal, but that doesn't mean you didn't still have a successful year, that you didn't still deliver and drive impact. The goal as an employee is to show up, try, and to learn, which is key, and to be a good person along the way. We set goals because we want to give ourselves something to go after, clear thing to align to. We want to stretch and push ourselves, but things are going to happen. Things are going to get defunded and deprioritized, and things are going to change outside of our control all along the way. The goal is to not make sure that if you hit this made up goal, then you're winning and you did a good job. I'm like, no, it's arbitrary. It's made up. The goal is to show up, to try, to learn, and be a good person along the way. That's what we want to articulate through your own feedback of yourself in your review. Okay, now here's a little bit of a bonus approach I'd offer to you to think about. My bonus challenge to you is to spend more time focused on the year ahead and less time on what already happened. So do the thing, whatever your company's asked you, to write your own review for yourself. But I want you to spend at least equal amount of time, if not more time, focused on the year ahead. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Now, I got to be honest. When it comes to next year, yeah, you can have some goals. But when I think about goals, it's not motivating for me. It's not exciting. It feels just like a corporate exercise. It's hard and everyone's going to have opinions and then they're going to want it time bound and measurable and all these other things. And I get why we do it. But for me, it's just not motivating. So I don't do it. But at the same time, I have a big goal I'm personally going after next year. But it's a me goal. It's something I want for me, of how I want to grow, what I want to deliver, because I know in order to deliver on that, I as a person am going to have to change some things. And that's what I want to go after. So I do have a goal, but it's not this corporate fancy smanchy written out goal. It's just something I think would be fun to achieve. So I want you to really spend more time thinking and writing about your review at this time next year, as if you have already hit that secret big goal. Maybe your goal is to get promoted. Maybe your goal is to find a new job or start managing people or start your own company or become a C-suite employee. I want you to think about what's that thing in your career that you're like, I want to do this. Maybe you have a dollar amount you want to make. I want you to spend some time writing down. Again, we want to write this as if we're writing for 2025 and it's already happened. It's almost going to be 2026 and you've reached this goal. I want you to write down, what is it like? What do you feel like? Where are you as you're writing your review? Are you in the same place you are right now? Are you in an office? Are you at home? Are you on a beach? What does your surrounding look like? What are you excited about? Remember, we've hit this goal. We don't know how. That's not where we're at today. We're just going to spend time writing a review as if we hit it. What are you excited about? What are you proud of? What was some really hard parts about getting here? What was most helpful? What are some things you want to keep doing as you go into 2026? Remember, we've already hit this goal, our secret big thing we want to do. What was like a small change you made that had a big difference? What did you give up to reach your goal? Who have you become now? What people struggled as you kind of shifted and changed and became this person? Who cheered you on? What was most fun about it? Like, spend some time and write it down. Spend more time in this headspace and less time in justifying what's already happened that can't be changed. I promise you it's going to make all the difference as you focus on growing next year to reach the goals you really want to reach. Like one of my mentors says, you can totally do it. Just get to work. And if you want to get there faster, find a good mentor. So do me a solid and spend at least equal, if not more time thinking, what is it going to be like to write your review next year when you've hit that goal you want? And then as you write your review for this year, make sure you're focusing on those 2 Qs of quantify and qualify. All right, y'all. You're amazing. You got this. We'll talk soon. Hey, you didn't schedule a coffee chat yet. Remember, that's the next step. There's so much more I can help you with. You're going to leave this coffee chat knowing a few things you can try right now, depending on your specific situation. This is not a sales call. My goal is simply to help however I can. If I do think coaching can help, I can tell you about it, but I'm currently on a wait list for new clients. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat to get on my calendar. I only offer a few coffee chats a week and it's first come, first serve, so don't wait. Chat with you soon.